That's right. It is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience there at KVVB TV, Channel 33, Facebook Live, Periscope TV, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, Roku TV, Apple TV, Alexa. Don't forget Fire Stick. I'm super honored to have with us right now the spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses. We have with us right now Robert Hendricks III. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Robert.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Aaron.
Well, you know what? Look, I understand during this pandemic right now, a lot of religions out there are currently trying to do the right thing. Obviously, Jehovah's Witnesses are doing something pretty unprecedented in the history of Jehovah's Witnesses. I understand typically there's a district convention which happens each and every year, but this time, this is the first time you're doing it online. Why?
Well, back in March, we decided as an organization that all public meetings and even our public ministry would have to stop. The basis for that was very simple, two Christian principles that we all agree on. One of them is that we respect the sanctity of life. And so knocking on doors, being in the public ministry, bringing people together in a public meeting would not respect that basic tenet of Christianity. And also the second greatest commandment, which is love your neighbor. And because we love our neighbor, knocking on their doors we felt was not something that would be showing that love, and bringing them to our public place would not be loving. It's interesting because those are the two principles that guide us in all the things that we do. The reason why we knock on doors, the reason why we invite people to our meetings is because we love them and because we're worried about their life. We want to help them. But now these same two principles have caused us to say stop. And it's the first time in our history that's ever been done. And it was unprecedented then. And a further step that we took in April was to cancel all of our conventions around the world. Now that's thousands of them. In the United States alone, there's 688 that were planned. They're called regional conventions because they're regional in nature. People come to them from pretty much a smaller area. And they come into a city, and like San Diego as an example, where we have a convention. They stay there for a few days. They enjoy the convention. They enjoy fellowship with each other. But we felt for two reasons that even though the pandemic seemed to be getting under control a bit in April, it was clear that if it continued, or if it continued to escalate, we wouldn't want to bring folks together. And that was something that you're right, it was unprecedented, because we have had conventions for more than 100 years. Actually, technically, we've had a public convention in this country since 1897. So this is our tradition. It's our signature event. In fact, it follows the ancient Israelites who were told that they needed to have 3 holy conventions a year, and they were mandatory in their worship. And we follow that same pattern today. And so in April, when we decided there would be no public gatherings, what we wanted to do as an organization was make sure that we weren't going to miss this year, that every person in the world that wanted to access our conventions could do that. And so beginning in April, the middle of April, end of April, we began to record the 3 days of content. Typically it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was a big undertaking because under COVID restrictions, we had a very limited crew. It was we had to maintain safe distancing. We have to maintain PPE. And so just recording it was in itself difficult. But the main task was to come, and that was, how do we make it available to the world? Now, we're in 240 lands. We have 8.5 million people who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and about 14 million who typically attend our conventions in a typical year around the world. But they're in many different languages, and typically locally that could be handled, right? So you have local brothers and sisters who put on the convention. They take the outlines and give the talks locally. But how do we get this done so that the entire world can access it? That was really a question, and the result was that we translated from May to June into July, so it was the second week of July that we put out our first segment of the convention. We translated the convention to 511 languages 58 sign languages, so that the entire world at one time could be united on that weekend and watch the first installment of our convention, which happened to coincide with what would have happened on Friday morning. So it's really a modern-day miracle.
Yeah, and Robert, I obviously have a very important question for you. That for those that don't know, again, maybe they have had somebody knock on their door. I mean, there's a running joke, right? Everybody hide really quick. You know, the Jehovah's Witnesses are at your door. However, can you bring to people's awareness why Jehovah's Witnesses have in the past gone door to door, and more importantly, why that portion of their preaching work has actually stopped?
That's a great question. I'm glad you went back there, because we are known for that, and many people just wonder, well, why would you do this? I have my own religion. But really, when you think about what Jesus commanded his followers to do, the last commandment that he gave them was, go therefore and make disciples. He said, teaching them to observe the commandments that I have taught you, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That was the final command. And when right before he went up, he prophesied with his disciples around him. He said to them, you will be witnesses of me in all the lands. He said, in Judea, Samaria, and all the nations of the earth. And then he was lifted up into his heavenly assignment. And so when our Lord Jesus, our Savior, the one that our name is connected with him, we are Christian. When he tells us to do something, we do it. So first century Christians, that's exactly what they did in Acts chapter 20. They went from door to door. There was no question for them that was their role, door to door, place to place, city to city. And so we follow that ancient pattern. And it's not that we go and we're trying to make converts. More importantly to us, and this is really the key, we go so that we can open up the scriptures to people and let them know this is still a viable option for you. The way to live that's expressed in the Bible is the best way to live and can elevate your life and make you not only a better person, but a better family man, a better husband, a better employee. And we have seen that in our own lives, and we hope to share that with others.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that. For those that don't know, I was actually raised around Jehovah's Witnesses. My mom is a very devout Christian Jehovah's Witness, so I go quite a ways back. I no longer personally associate with Jehovah's Witnesses on a regular basis, and for that reason, I do really appreciate all that you've done to keep my mom safe and the other Jehovah's Witnesses safe as well. Now, let me ask you something, because this has been a pretty hotbed topic as of late. Some have felt the need, of course, singing is a part of worship in every religion. What's your viewpoint on that? And obviously, I know it always is based on the Bible. There's always principles, and let's face it, it's not like the Bible said, well, or did it? It did say there would be pestilence in one place after another, yet it also says go into your interior rooms. Is that somewhat what's happening here?
Well, in the Bible, when we look at interior rooms, we don't see that as a physical place. The interior rooms of Isaiah that you're talking about are really a spiritual place. Jehovah calls it in the Psalms, he says, the secret place, the place of protection of God's people. And so when we think about worship is not about a place. If it were about a place, then the temple would still be erected and used. Worship is about spirituality, our relationship with our Creator, and our relationship with each other. Remember, Jesus said about those who would be identified as his apostles that they would have love among themselves. We are a unified brotherhood in 240 lands. That transcends a place. It's not about a kingdom hall. It's not about a church building. It's not even about an arena for our conventions. It's about being able to connect with our Creator individually and being able to share that together in fellowship. And that includes music. Music is a very powerful and important part of our worship. If you go to our website on jw.org, not only do we have worship songs that we use, but we also have original songs that help us through the day. Things that we can hum to and sing to all day long that really focus on the issues that we're facing today, like courage and loneliness. And all those things are helping us to stay faithful. So singing is a valuable part. Sadly, we can't sing together right now, but we can sing with our families. And part of our convention, going back to our convention, which is themed Always Rejoice, in the last several years, we have created an original song that's been a signature song of the convention. So all through the convention, you hear it underneath some of the videos that have been prepared. But also at the end, we all sing this brand new original song. And it's a beautiful way to conclude a beautiful event.
Well, and Robert, we are almost up against a commercial break. If I'd like to keep you, I have a couple more questions, very pertinent questions. Can we keep you just for a couple more minutes?
Be a pleasure.
We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we got more of Robert Hendricks, a spokesperson for Jehovah's Witnesses, right after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show right here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Joining our live TV audience there at KVVB TV, Channel 33, and social media platforms everywhere, streaming live. We appreciate each and every one of you joining us still over there from the East Coast, by the way. We got Robert Hendricks from Jehovah's Witnesses. Really quick question. What's the weather like over there?
You know what? I haven't been outside today, but it's generally okay. It's been hot in the 90s and high 80s, but the humidity has been pretty good for the Northeast, which I'm happy about.
Well, and again, we kind of left off of an unprecedented moment in history, especially those for Jehovah's Witnesses, and even in other faiths. I mean, let's face it. At what time did people get told, we need to practice social distancing, you need to put on a face mask, and you need to do so carefully? Some are obeying the command, others are not obeying the command. I do applaud Jehovah's Witnesses for trying as best as possible to obey the command and go a next step. I know you guys actually put yourselves pretty much on lockdown even before it became mandated. Is that not true?
Oh, yeah. No, we always obey the law. So the law, that's not an issue. But really, the law is a minimum standard when it comes to life. It's kind of like a speed limit. You can drive 75 miles an hour on some roads, but sometimes you probably shouldn't. And so when it comes to making these decisions, it's not about the law, that's a given. But it's about life, and it's about what's best for our communities and what's best for our people.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're saying that. I realize that this time is kind of tough, and a lot of people have a lot of questions. They're looking for some type of answer. Kind of give me a snapshot of what people are going to be able to see when they go to jw.org.
Well, first of all, I want to let you know that even though our meetings have gone virtual, our conventions have gone virtual, our love is still very much alive, and it's very real. In fact, it's as real today as it's ever been. Our congregation meetings have really been, the attendance is at unprecedented levels. Many have come back to the organization for two reasons. One, because they've seen the situation and they've been rocked by the fact that within 3 weeks an entire world can come to its knees because of a pandemic, and all the things that they thought brought them joy could be taken away from them: education, their retirement, their jobs, their careers. And so they've come back to spirituality, many of them. The other issue is that this virtual environment has embraced many of our disabled ones, our older ones, and not only just to listen, but to also participate in discussions, in healthy, lively, robust spiritual discussions. So spirituality is on the increase right now among God's people, and that's a powerful thing. With this convention, though, it's very much the same. We are getting together on a congregational level each week. So this weekend, we'll get together in small groups. And first of all, as a congregation, to talk about a Bible topic for about a half an hour. We'll retreat to watch the convention as families and individuals. And then we'll come back in small groups and join each other in fellowship to talk about the convention, to kind of sound it down into our hearts. And we invite everybody to be a part of that. Going to jw.org, going to the library tab of jw.org, and then to JW Broadcasting, they can scroll down and get the first 3 installments of the convention, which matches Friday afternoon, morning, and Saturday morning. And since the theme is about joy, you wonder, many people have asked us, did you just change it because of the pandemic? Fact of the matter is, this convention was named some 5 years ago at least. And when you think about, at this time, being able to have 6 weekends of the summer to just immerse yourself in the topic of remaining joyful, that's powerful. It's not only a gift to Jehovah's Witnesses, it's a gift in 511 languages to the world, and we want everybody to participate. There's no paywall, there's no fee, there's no email that you need. Do it anonymously or join a congregation. You can do that through the website as well, and we would be happy to have you.
Well, and I appreciate Jehovah's Witnesses for taking the lead on a lot of stuff. I would venture to say even Google and Facebook would love to be in as many languages that you're able to translate. Well, what's the current standing, if you know off the top of your head, what the current standing is of amount of languages that maybe not audio-wise, but just publication-wise?
Well, on our website is over 1,000. We reached 1,000 languages about 6 months ago, and it was a big milestone. It was the goal, but now we're in excess of 1,000 languages, and nobody else will do that because there's no profit motive to doing that. Let's just face it. We have languages on this website where 250 people in the entire world speak it. We have 58 sign languages. It's unheard of. We put out in February, we completed the first American Sign Language Bible in the world, the first sign language Bible in history that's complete. We don't do it for money. And so when there's no profit motive, there's no limit. There's no limit to what we can achieve because we're doing it for our God and we're doing it because out of love for people.
Well, I appreciate you spending time with us here on The Morning Show. Thank you for getting our information out to the rest of the world, those that are tuning in, maybe for the very first time. For those tuning in and or have been perhaps associated for some time or haven't been in quite some time, where can they go to find their local congregation, even though it's virtual?
They can go to jw.org. They could scroll all the way down on the homepage and it says find a meeting or request a visit. Now you won't get a visit, but that information will be sent to our branch office, and the branch office will contact the local congregation. The local congregation will then contact the individual. So in this case, you'll have to leave your phone number in order for us to get to you, or just find a meeting. You can put your address in and then find a local Kingdom Hall, call the local Kingdom Hall, and we'll give you information on how to locally hook up with the local congregation meetings and also the convention. So we're still open for everyone to participate.
All right, Robert Hendricks, spokesperson for the USA Division of Jehovah's Witnesses. Thank you very much for spending time with us here on The Morning Show, and keep doing the good work.
Thank you very much, Aaron. It was a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely, ours too. Okay, we got to take a quick break here on The Morning Show. When we got back, we got more information coming up just around the corner. Stay tuned right after these messages. We'll be right back.